So it leads to other problems. They no longer believed in a God because they couldn't pray away the gay. And when you lose your belief in God, it's a whole other step of damaged mental health and damaged connectedness. So now you're compounding harms. They're feeling worthless. They're also, when you start to come out as gay, people start to reject you and abuse you. And sometimes it's evident to people that you are in a different body long before you announce it. So a lot of these children take on abuse long before they announce it to anybody. So now they're having their connectedness damaged. Very, very important when you're talking about mental health. And also they're having their sense of worth damaged by the teachings of those that they believe represent God. This is so harmful to these people these children growing up with the same-sex attractions. You know, President Nelson, you can do better. You must do better. You know, the other thing that really, the science part of this that really sent it home for me, I mean, I started being embarrassed at my own former beliefs. I was ashamed that I was a lazy learner for so long, and it took a tragedy for me to not be one. But what I found is there are some people that are born with XXY. They literally are both sexes. So when they're born, they have, you know, what do you do with a child that's in a body that's literally both sexes? Sadly, the church's answer up to this point has been to abuse that child, to harm them, to promote an abusive environment. The very environment that my son died from. He was called faggot every day, almost every day for months before he made an end-of-life decision. These are LDS boys calling him this, and not only him, but other children in the neighborhood. This is a culture that's not healthy. These children are being abused for no fault of their own. I mean, it can't be any clearer that a child born with both sexes, it's not so much clarity on that. What do you do? You know, do they get to marry a man or a woman in the temple? If you can't answer that question, then you're in no place to judge these people anymore. If they are literally born both sexes, XXY. The other thing that happens is you have young men. They're actually genetically male, and they have undescended testicles. So the day they're born, guess what? We got ourselves a little girl, and the whole family, they give a girl's name that looks like a girl. But as this child starts to age, they find that there's testicles where there should be ovaries. And they're finding out that this is genetically a male. So, President Nelson, what do we do with that child? Right now, what you're doing is you're promoting a culture that abuses that child. There's no fault of their own. They didn't make a choice. They were born in that body. And the culture you've promoted is allowing them to be called faggot. This is cruel. These people are already born in a difficult situation, a possibly difficult situation, and you're adding to their suffering through the culture you are promoting, and not just you. You're following those ahead of you. I understand that. But right now, you're the prophet, seer, and revelator, not the guys before you. So I'm talking to you, President Nelson. Can we not do something different here? You have so much power in your hands, President Nelson. You know what I'd like you to do is go on the pulpit this weekend during General Conference, and I want you to acknowledge the truth on this topic. And the truth is, some children are born XXY. This is a fact. We don't abuse children born different. You're going to acknowledge that some children have some males have undescended testicles. They look like a girl when they're born, but they're genetically a male. There's a lot of lack of clarity on if this is a male or a female. I want you to go in front of the entire General Conference and say, the Mormon people, the Latter-day Saint people whom I lead, are not to abuse people because of their perceived sexuality. We do not know what's going on in their body. We do not understand what's going on, and there's very real science. So, how about that young man with the undescended testicles, born everyone believing he was a female. Now he wants to be a male. Some do, and some want to stay female. It's kind of not clear which is which. Whom should that person marry? Should they marry a female, or should they're genetically male, XY, so should they marry a female, right? But that would be a transgender move there, wouldn't it? They're born female, now they're feeling male, and they want to become male because they are XY. What's the world going to do? What's the church going to do to that person? They're genetically male. You're going to judge them exactly what Christ told you not to do, to judge them. So does that male marry a female, or he looked female when he was born? Should he marry a male? And then, but according to you, this would be a same-sex marriage, would it not? So this is confused. This is not so clear. So the point I'm making is these issues are not so clear-cut. They're just not. People are born in all kinds of bodies, all kinds of bodies. You know, I think of kind of a little bit off the topic, but right along the point of that people are born into different bodies. You know, I had a friend once, and I said, I asked him, does he, you know, normal men have attractions to women? Like, you just feel it. You understand that, President Nelson. But I asked him, I said, I'm not going to give his name, but I said, do you feel any kind of attraction to anybody at all? I said, do you see a woman that's attractive? Do you feel anything? And what this friend of mine said is he says he doesn't feel anything. He had no sexuality at all. That was the body he was born into. You know, also, we have other people that have a sex drive that's off the charts. It's different serotonin levels have a huge effect on this, off the charts. So these two men, born in two different bodies, are in two different, very different situations. So, to place judgment on them, this is not what Christ taught us to do. President Nelson, what did Christ teach us to do? I think we know. Christ was correct. Again, he always is. He said, judge not lest you be judged.